What up YouTube? How are feeling today? Hope you're doing great, hope you're doing fantastic. Back with another Division 2 video and back with another banger of a build. This is my hybrid skill build that does a lot of damage with your skills, but still giving you some survivability and some extra damage output with your gun. And no, we're not using the memento. This is so much fun. This synergy in this build gives you a lot of survivability, damage output with your gun, and your skills are just shredding through everybody. This is a lot of fun to play with, and I don't know if anybody else made this already. Definitely hit me up in the comments down below, but this is just such a great skill build, hybrid skill build to play around with. You can just sit in the corner and let your skills do all the talking, or just shoot your enemies and boost up your skill damage and your weapon damage even more. This is just a godly combination. But enough intro, let's dive right into the gameplay. As usual, I will show you some gameplay of a control point and I will show you some gameplay of a mission. I won't show you countdown because skill builds aren't really used in countdowns. The hunters will take you out. Believe me, it is not fun when they take over your skills. They will take your ass out and even take out your whole team. So please do not use a skill build in countdown. So enough intro, let's dive right into the gameplay.
All clear.
I just heard something.
That should keep them from being able to transport those mortars loaded with DC-62. Good work. Go on and head back up. The team from the campus has taken position inside the...
And like always, we're starting with our specialization. We are using the technician specialization. Why? Of course, this gives us an extra skill tier, giving us some extra damage to drones, skill proxies, and robotics. And you can heal your friendly skill proxies within 10 meters if you use your armor kit. Next to that, of course, we went for some extra assault rifle damage, some rifle damage as well, because the assault rifle and the rifle are the ones that we are using. And then I just stacked into pistol damage, but we're almost never using our pistol. So let's jump over to the guns that we're using. And for this build, we're using the capacitor. Just like I said in the intro, this is a hybrid skill build in combination with the Heartbreaker gear set. This is a lot of fun. It gives you an extra survivability, an extra damage output for your gun, and then of course all your skills will do an insane amount of damage as we are rocking that 6 core yellows. It has 111.2k damage because my gun is on proficiency rank 0. So if you boost this gun up, you can even hit harder, and even harder. The RPM is 700 and it has a mag of 41. Why is the capacitor so great? It is great on every single skill build, especially if you want to do damage. I went for a little bit more damage for my gun as well. As y'all know, I like to shoot my gun even if I'm running a skill build. The capacitance is the talent on there. Shooting enemies builds up a stack of a cap of 40 and each stack grants 1.5% skill damage, and after 5 seconds stacks decay 1 per second. And for each skill tier that we're using gains 7.5% weapon damage, and this is why the capacitor is one of the best guns to use on an AR skill build. This helps out quite a lot, and of course getting that extra 65% skill damage in with the capacitance, man, this is just straight up huge. Then jumping over to my secondary gun, and that's the Harmony. Why are we using the Harmony? If our gun runs out of bullets because we don't have the full red build, so you need a few bullets to take a few people out. Of course, our skills are doing most of the job. We are using the Harmony as the rifle with that perfectly in sync on there. Hitting an enemy grants 20% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a non-shield skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds. And if we hit with our gun and with our skills, we're getting a double increase. So an extra 40% skill damage and an extra 40% weapon damage. So this boosts up our build even more. And especially with the whole combination of this build, man, this is so much fun. Your gun does a lot of damage while we're running around with a full skill build. Then over to my handgun, and I just went for the TDI card custom. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not really using my pistol that much, so just go for a pistol that you want to get proficient. Just put that pistol on. It's just the cheapest and easiest way to get your handguns proficient without using materials or, of course, farming for it. This has in sync on there as well if we're trying to use it, and of course, if you handle the gun, you're getting an extra skill tier. So this skill tier is not active. I repeat, this is not active while it is holstered. It's only active when you have it in your hand. But let's jump over to the build. Starting with my backpack, and I chose for a Wyvern backpack. Why? Because this gives us an extra 10% skill damage. I went for skill damage, I went for critical hit chance and a critical hit chance mod on there, and we went for combined arms. So shooting an enemy increases total skill damage by another 25% for 3 seconds. So this boosts up the build even more, guys. This whole build, this whole combination boosts up your skills so much that the base stats don't even say nothing anymore. It almost goes up to that 80 to 90% extra skill damage while the full build is procced. It is just a crazy amount, and that's why I'm using combined arms. Like I said in the beginning, I still like to shoot my enemies. Then over to my holster, and we're using the exotic holster, the waveform. Why are we using this? Because we're gaining, of course, an extra skill tier. This gives us an extra skill damage and skill haste. and we're doing it all for the talent. The alternating current. Generate a stack of 3% skill damage on one of your skills every second, capping to a stack of 10. So an extra 30% skill damage on there. After 10 seconds at the cap, the stack transfers to your other skills and the process then repeats infinitely. So it just jumps over when it stacks up. You have 10 seconds on your left skill, for example. Then the 10 seconds are over. The right skill builds up. The left skill goes down. And then when you're at the max on your right skill, you have 10 seconds, 30% extra damage. And this is just going every single time from the right to the left and boosting up our skills quite a lot. And then next set, just like I said in the intro, and at the beginning, we are using Heartbreaker. Yes, it isn't a skill gear set. It's just straight up survivability and damage output. But as I said, I like to shoot with my gun, and this gives us a little bit more survivability because we're running around with 6 cores yellows and 1 extra weapon damage core. So that's why we're a little bit squishy. You can of course go for a little bit of armor instead of the weapon damage, but again, I like to do some damage. Then I went for, of course, Heartbreaker. Why the Heartbreaker? This gives us an extra 15% assault rifle damage, an extra weapon handling. That comes in clutch, especially with the capacitor. And then for the 4 pieces, Heartstopper. Headshots apply a pulse for 5 seconds, and weapon hits on a pulse enemy adds a stack of 1% bonus armor and 1% damage to pulsed enemies, up to a stack of 50, but because we are using the chest version, this boosts us up to that 100. So we're getting a 100% bonus armor and 100% extra damage to pulsed enemies if we are, of course, hitting that cap. And that doesn't really happen that much. Of course, if you are in a busy room, then a lot of enemies can be pulsed if you're shooting headshots, and then you can gain that stack pretty fast. But overall, you will not gain that 100% or close to that 100%, but still gives you a lot of survivability with that extra bonus armor and, of course, some extra weapon damage as well. Then over to the chest, we went for weapon damage on this one. We chose for critical hit chance and critical hit chance mod on there. And then, just like I explained, we're going from 50 to 100 with the max BPM talent on there. And then I went for the gloves with some skill tier on there and skill damage. Same as for the knee pads. Skill tier rolled on there and skill damage. And this is a pretty easy build to farm for. I think almost everybody has the waveform already. You only have to find a piece of wyvern. In my opinion, go for the backpack and then of course go for combined arms with it, combining that extra skill damage, and then just go into countdown and just farm for the 4 pieces of Heartbreaker with of course skill damage on there, so you can roll that skill core over the weapon core. But yeah guys, this is mostly the overview. The tactician for that extra skill core, so we can have an extra weapon core on the build as well. We went for the capacitor. This is one of the best ARs to use on a skill build. We went for the harmony to get some extra perfectly in sync in when our bullets ran out. We went for the TDI card custom, but again you can go for whatever you want. Wyvern for that extra 10% skill damage, waveform for that extra 30% skill damage, and then of course the combination of Heartbreaker to get that extra survivability in and that extra damage output. So let's hop over to the skills and the skill damage that we are using. As we can see, we're using the turret. It has a cooldown of 20.5 seconds, but it has a duration of almost 250 seconds. This turret almost will never die as it has 5.5 million HP. The damage on this is almost 120k, but again, this is base damage. This is without our backpack. This is without the capacitor, and this is without our holster, the waveform. You can get up to an extra 90 to 100% extra damage output, or maybe even more if everything is procced perfectly. This does so much damage. I went for 5% damage, 7.5% duration, and another 7.5% duration for the mods. And next to that, we are using the Striker drone. 7.5% duration, 9.7% health, and 5% damage for the mods. This has a cooldown of 20.5 seconds as well, but again has a health of 2.8 million. It's pretty hard for the ads to take it out. And then at base level, we're having a 67k damage. But again, base level, with the whole build, this boosts it up quite a lot. And you're just shredding through rooms. You're shredding through enemies. And it is a lot of fun. Jumping over to the stats. And I went for 50% critical hit chance because still I want to do some damage with my gun. You can go for some other things, some extra skill damage if you just want to sit in the corner. But this build requires you to shoot with the backpack talent and of course the combination with Heartbreaker. 75% critical hit damage and 75% headshot damage. And I just showed you all the damages, or at least all the base damages of our skills. We don't have an armor core, we don't have armor regeneration, so these are all the stats that we can talk about. But let me know in the comments down below what you think about this build. This is my hybrid skill build, and it is a lot of fun. Giving you an extra damage output and an extra survivability with that Heartbreaker. And of course, when the full build is procced, this is so much fun to play with. You can just shred through rooms in missions. You can shred through enemies in the CPs. But don't use this in Countdown though, because definitely the hunters will take over your skills and will take your ass out. Especially your team as well. So please do not use this on Countdown, but you can use it wherever you like. But again, hit me up in the comments down below if you are testing this build already. Did you make this build already? Did you change a few things on this build? I would love to know how you are running it, but that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit that subscribers button, and of course the notification bell. PurePrime out.